What's up, everybody? My name is Kier, and you are watching the important things that really matter. Today, we're going to be talking about part 3 of the best ancestry tests for African Americans. Part 3 of the best ancestry tests for African Americans. As I stated before, this is part 3, so you want to go back and look at part 2 of the best ancestry test for African Americans, and you also want to go back to look at part 1 for the best ancestry test for African Americans also too. I also talked a little bit about the fact that when I first did one of the other ancestry tests, in the small print they stated that they own the DNA that you send them. To me, I thought that was crazy. How you going to own my DNA and I'm paying you to do the test for me? But some of the other ancestry tests will tell you that they own whatever DNA that you send them, which I think is messed up. It's greatly messed up. So anyway, so that's one of the things I want to talk to you about. The best ancestry tests for African Americans and Black people around the world. My opinion, and I know I'm right anyway, but my opinion, and it's a very, very good reason and a good opinion, is African Ancestry is the best ancestry test for African Americans and Black people around the world. Why is African Ancestry the best test for you to use? The number one reason is because after you send them your DNA to do a test on you and your family to determine what country you came from, depending on whether it's your mother's side of your family or your father's side of your family, they not only tell you what country you came from, they will even tell you what specific tribe you came from. What specific tribe that you came from. Not only will they tell you that, but I was able to find out even more information, which is amazing information that I found out. I found out other people through African Ancestry, and I'm not getting paid by them at all. I'm not being paid by them at all. That's African Ancestry is the one that I used, and African Ancestry destroys the DNA that you send them after they finish with doing all the testing, okay? So that's the number one reason that you want to go with African Ancestry, is that they don't own any of your stuff, any of your DNA that you send them. They destroy it. And also too, African Ancestry has supposedly the largest database on Black people, on African Americans, which will determine what country you came from, which will determine what specific tribe you came from. They have some of the largest databases, okay? And this is information that you want to know. So when I went through African Ancestry, I found out the countries that the mother side of the family came from. I found out the specific tribe that the mother side of the family came from. I not only found out that information from the mother side of the family, but I paid an additional $300 to test the father side of the family. So I know what country my father's side of the family came from. I also know what specific tribes that my father's side of the family came from also too. Now, what I found, so that was $300 for the mother's side of the family and $300 for the father's side of the family. What I also found out was, at least on the mother's side of the family, what people, the different people that came from my tribe. So from my tribe, some of the people there that came from my tribe in Africa on the mother side of the family were Quincy Jones, Oprah Winfrey, Spike Lee, I think Blair Underwood, Sherry Lee Ralph, some more people. I don't remember all the people, but these are just some of the people. And I came from mother side of the family. The DNA transferred genetically all the way through all them generations and hundreds of years to me. And so I came from one of those tribes that were the singers, the poets, the songwriters, the musicians, the actors, all the creative people. I came from that tribe in Africa, which was from specifically Cameroon. Now, my niece did one of the other DNA testing and found out, and so when I did it, it verified that we are from Cameroon, from the mother side of the family, that we are from Cameroon, and we happen to come from the tribe of very, very creative people. Like I said, it also told me what specific tribe, what specific country, and it also told me some of the people that are currently out here in the world who are part of my tribe also too. So I thought that was really, really cool, really, really great. It just did a whole lot for me to find all that information. And I didn't even know that they were going to give me the specific tribe that I came from. Now, on my mother's side of the family, come to find out that the DNA that they did, that they showed me or they sent back to me, found out that my mother's DNA is Black Hebrew, Black Israelite. Once again, my mother's side DNA that came down through all them generations is Black Hebrew and Black Israelite, okay? So we, the Black Jews, okay? And this is not no guessing or anything along those particular lines. It's just a fact. The DNA came back showing that. So this is even further information to show who I am and who we are, okay? So also too, in the previous videos, which I suggest that you go look at part 1 of the best ancestry test for African Americans, and then part 2 of the best ancestry test for African Americans. Parts 1 and 2, you want to go back and look at those, because it not just tells you about the specific test, the best ancestry test, but also talks about my journey and getting to the point and why I wanted to look up both sides of the family. So I just told you a little bit about my mother's side of the family and a little bit about the mother's side of the family. Now, my father's side of the family came from a country called Gabon, which is on the west coast of Africa. Now, when I got that information back, I was also able to download a PDF which showed the country, talked about what are some of the natural resources of the country, what some of the people are like, and other information along those particular lines. What specific tribe I was from also too, which I may go back and review everything again as to what tribe the father side of the family came from. And so that was some very, very good information, very, very useful information to know that my father side of the family came from Gabon. And to my understanding, Gabon is right now supposed to be a French-speaking country. My people came from there. So I know my mother's side of the family, what countries and tribes, and I also know my father's side of the family, what countries and what tribes. It's extremely, extremely interesting. You need to know these things for yourself also too, because a lot of people are making their move back to Africa. And so some of these places may be the places where you may go. So I know at least 2 countries where both sides of my family come from, which is Cameroon and Gabon. So very, very useful information. And this is information you need to know that you need to know about yourself also too. And what I also recommended in other previous videos is that you go to the library and find out about Black inventors and Black scientists, African American inventors and African American scientists and inventions that African Americans made, so that you know what we've done. If you go through the public school system that's out here right now, you will rarely see any references of Black people in our history. You may hear a little bit about Malcolm X, and you might hear a little bit about Martin Luther King, and you're not going to find out that much more than those people. You might hear about 4 or 5 other people. You might hear about that. Then again, you might not, because now there's being a push to not even talk anything about African-American history, which really is American history. They don't want to talk about slavery. They don't want to talk about that it was like somewhere around about 80 to 100 million people that were transferred by ships from West Africa to Western Europe, to North America, Central America, and South America. They don't want you to know about that. They don't want you to know how bad the plantations were. They don't want you to know how they beat us, how they raped us. They didn't just rape the black women, they raped the black men too in front of people, okay? They hung them. They don't want you to know about the Ku Klux Klan that hunted black people down and killed black people. They don't want you to know about those things. They want to keep all that stuff hid because they don't want to pay reparations for all the evil that they've done against us for all these many, many years. They don't want you to know that all the black businesses that were created all over the United States, that the majority people ran freeways through all of those black businesses to destroy those black businesses. Like right now in Detroit, downtown Detroit, pretty close to downtown Detroit, they called it Black Bottom. It had many of the black businesses. Well, where Black Bottom used to be, they ran I-75 freeway through it, destroyed all of those black businesses. And I found out by Dr. Claude Anderson, that all of the black businesses that were all over the United States, from the East Coast to the West Coast, the majority people ran freeways through all of those businesses to destroy all of those businesses. This is the truth, and this is stuff that you need to know, especially for those people that don't like themselves and want to be something that they are not. We come from great people. We come from warriors from Africa. We come from black inventors, black scientists. We are the ones that built the pyramids in Egypt. And those are not just only the pyramids that are in Egypt that we built and designed with mathematics, geometry, okay? Matter of fact, I looked at one documentary of Egypt, of the pyramids, and those pyramids are not four-sided pyramids. They're actually eight-sided pyramids, but you can't even see that there's a split in between the different sides. That only shows up a certain time of the year, okay? They don't tell you that. I found out in one of the documentaries that if you look at the Great Pyramids in Giza and you look at the Sphinx, and the Sphinx is facing towards the sky, that the pyramids and the Sphinx facing towards the sky makes a 26,000-year-old clock. Ain't that a trip? They also took measurements of the pyramids. They kept coming up with the golden number, which, if you know anything about mathematics, is a very, very important number. Kept coming up with that. They found the cap of the pyramid. The cap of the pyramid was literally 1 meter tall. Can you believe that? So those people in Europe, they were sitting up here talking about that they came up with the measurement of the meter. Wrong. They found the cap of the pyramid. The cap of the pyramid was 1 meter tall. They also did some more measurements of the Great Pyramid in Giza. Come to find out that some of the measurements gave you the speed of light in meters. Can you believe that? Gave you the speed of light in meters. Can you believe that? The pyramids are earthquake proof. The pyramids are earthquake proof.